You're entering the wind tunnel with Jack Root. No spin, no bull, all Jack.
Seriously. And again, I'm not blowing smoke up your skirt. It's a no-hold bars visit with yours truly, Jack Root, and now joined by Mario Andretti.
You're talking to me, of course.
I'm talking to you. Yeah, of course I'm talking to you. Roger Penske.
Let's get back to racing. We need fans in the stands. And Jack, I thank you.
Jimmy Johnson in the house.
That's a lot of fun. I mean, what a fun car.
Then TT INDYCAR owner, Chip Ganassi.
Thanks, Jack. Great to catch up with you. Great to talk, and hope you're well, and I'll see you on the trail here somewhere.
Wind Tunnel is brought to you by
Advance Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of NASCAR.
Here is your host, Jack Root.
Welcome, everyone, to what I hope will be your weekly podcast destination as we celebrate the passions, stories, and stars of American motorsports. Each week, we'll bring you interviews with newsmakers from the world of NASCAR, the NTT IndyCar Series, and the world of weekly series short track racing. And to talk more about our short track commitment, I'm pleased to be joined by the Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer of Advance Auto Parts, Jason McDONNEL. Jason, thanks so much for joining us. And as we kick off Jack Root's Wind Tunnel, I want to share with our listeners your background, because you're not unique. You were attracted to auto racing at a very young age. Tell me about it.
Yeah, well, some kids, when they grow up and their dad takes them fishing. Some takes them playing baseball in the backyard. My dad took me to the racetrack. So whenever my mom would let us go on Friday and Saturday night, we would head down to Delaware Speedway or Flamborough or Cayuga, or cross the border and go into Michigan and watch late model or super modified racing. So for me, that started at a young age, and I've been it's been a passion point for me, and it's something my dad and I do every single year, and it's really a passion for me for my life. So it started when I was at a young age, Jack.
What resonated then and what resonates now? You mentioned the passion that grew and your appreciation for weekly racing. What was that passion? What resonated with you then and now?
You know, it's obviously the passion for the sport, the competitiveness of the sport, the science behind the sport. And then for me was also how close you can get to it as a fan. I thought that was a step above many other sports. And I'm really speaking from when I was a kid, that back there from a passion standpoint, right? Like when you get a letter and a picture in the mail from your favorite race car driver, Steve Gioia, who drives a super modified out of Oswego, you just want to get to the track. And then over the years, Jack, it's been, when I go to the races, it's not about the race all of a sudden, or it is, but it's about the people, right? The fact that I can walk in the grandstand or walk around the pits, which I do a lot, and you go and you get to talk to people and you see recognizable faces. Like I've been going to, as we talked, the Oswego Classic for 35 years. And that's, for me, it's now about family. So the passion moves from passion for the sport to passion for the people.
Well, it's certainly our hope through Advance Auto Parts Victory Lap to expose that passion to others that maybe haven't enjoyed it as of yet. So what is it about this partnership with NASCAR and their weekly series that was such a good fit for Advance Auto Parts?
Well, for us, it's really at the center of what we stand for at Advance. So we care for passionate folks when it comes to automotive. We have the drivers, fans, track operators. It's sort of right in line with what we do with our business. You know, we have 70,000 employees out there in the marketplace that are helping people care for their cars every day. And we thought that not only as our team members supporting local communities, that we should literally support their passion. And some of their passions, and that's supporting their local tracks as well. So obviously in partnership with NASCAR and home tracks, we have the opportunity to do that, right? We have the opportunity to help support these local tracks. Now, I'll also tell you, it also helps when the checkered flag's in your logo, you know, so, so it makes a ton of sense.
You know, 2020 was the first year of your partnership, and we all know what challenges that presented for all of us. But without giving away any secrets, because there is a pretty progressive calendar that you and your team is working on, this partnership with the weekly series is going to end up with a lot of facets. Is this? I have, to be quite honest with you, without giving anything away, I've never seen a company embrace an all-encompassing approach the way you intend to.
Well, I appreciate that. Not to be punny, but it's we're diehards here at Advanced Auto Parts. I guess I was punny, but we're diehards for the sport. And last year, obviously for us, the most important thing was to support the local tracks in a time that was difficult for many of these track operators and fans alike, right? I couldn't go to local tracks either. So we want to make sure we're supporting the first year. We got to make sure that our drivers and the fans are safe, and we take the same customer care we do at the stores, right? This year, our team's going to unleash in terms of our focus that we have and the support we have, and we're going to give back to these tracks. We're going to announce something shortly here about how we're giving back to local communities, where not only track operators are going to get excited by it because we're going to support their tracks in a bigger way, but also fans. And fans are going to have the opportunity to take part. So we're excited about the future holds, and we have a couple tricks up our sleeve on things that we want to do in terms of really helping to support local racing, which is the passion of all these communities.
Well, listen, we appreciate your stopping by in the wind tunnel, and I personally am excited to be partnered up with a company that is committed to where I was born and bred, just like you, the weekly racing series short track. And you talk about Oswego, and we traded a lot of memories there. And Jason, be safe to you and your team. It's great to be on board with you, and looking forward to a rewarding and exciting 2021.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Really appreciate the time and your continued support for racing and local tracks. Appreciate it.
So let's get started, shall we? In today's episode, we'll talk to a young driver who abandoned his family and support system in his native Spain to pursue his racing passion here in America. You'll meet a driver who went from bank teller to national champion with a little help from a NASCAR superstar. But up next, we talk to a 24-year-old driver who already has wins in NASCAR's Elite Cup Series and is teaming up with a NASCAR icon for 2021. It's all coming your way right here on Jackaroot's Wind Tunnel.
Coming up next.
Erik Jones in his 100th start in the Monster Energy Cup Series is going to win the Southern 500. Erik Jones wins in 2019.
Yes, sir. I cannot tell you how proud I am of you, Erik Jones. Way to freaking dig, man. All this pressure, and you did it, man. You should be proud of yourself right now.
We're hitting the brakes, but we'll be back on track after this.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participate in CarQuest locations. See store for details.
No spin, no bull, all Jack. The Wind Tunnel.
Well, he is the only driver to win Rookie of the Year titles in all of NASCAR's premier divisions, and he is getting ready to take over number 43. We're talking about Erik Jones. Erik, welcome. You're inside the wind tunnel. How are you today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Listen, you're on the brink of making a change and joining Richard Petty Motorsports. When this deal came together, did you have the realization that you were getting behind the wheel of a car that absolutely generations have recognized?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty exciting for me. When we first started the talks with RPM, they came to us later in the year and we're interested in seeing what we had going on as far as plans and what we were working on for next year. And things really just kind of aligned with what we were working on and what they were working on and kind of the goals we had in mind. And for me, I thought it was cool off the bat. I put the 43 car and Myself, I'm a fan of the history of the sport, and my family's been NASCAR fans, for a long time. So there's some Richard Petty fans in there too. So that was really cool, and a lot of people really excited, including myself, to get in that race car and see what what we can go out and accomplish.
Tell me a little bit about that auto racing relationship with your family and how you got bitten with the bug.
Yeah, I guess it was for me. It was almost a love of cars to start with. My family was in the car business, working on Corvettes, mainly actually Corvette restoration and repair. So I was always really interested in cars, and beyond that, we always had the NASCAR race on Sundays, and we would always watch the start and the end. There was some times we had to get a little work done in the middle of those races, but we were always tuned in, and I was always interested in racing. And as I got a little bit older and got interested in trying to do something myself, the opportunity came up to start racing quarter midgets when I was about 7 years old. And so it was really early. I was probably, 3, 4, 5 years old when I was first interested really in cars and in NASCAR, and being tuned into the sport each and every week.
So tell me about the conversation with your family when you decided, I want to hop into a quarter midget and start a racing career at the ripe old age of 7.
Yeah, it was it was pretty easy for me, actually. I had a go-kart that I just rode around at the house and stuff like that, and I think my parents could tell I was pretty interested in that. Actually, my mom, though, got me into it. She was reading a magazine one day, and they had an article in there about quarter midget racing and kids getting involved in it, and she thought that would be something I'd really like. So she came home and talked to me about it, and then talked to my dad about it, and he wasn't actually. We were just starting a company that he was involved in, so money wasn't exactly something that was flowing yet. And so we took the leap, though. She I think kind of forced his hand, got us going quarter midget racing, and we were locked in ever since.
NASCAR home track are where you honed your skills. I'm interested in how important that short track experience was and still is to who Erik Jones is and how he drives.
Yeah, it's pretty important. I look back and that's where we all start at some point. And for me, it was growing up in Michigan. I started racing at Owasso Speedway in a street stock and moved up into a late model after that. And then started traveling a little bit, mostly around the Midwest. And as the years went, a little bit more down south, we kind of heard that's where we started winning a lot of races in the Midwest. And then people started saying, well, you need to go win races down south. So we started traveling down south and racing down there too. And, doing all that stuff, but raced a lot of great racetracks and learned a lot. And not only great racetracks, but great race car drivers and guys who, are capable of racing in NASCAR, and just some of them never got the opportunity. Some of them never had the right chance to get there and do things. But, guys that race on the short track level that are more than capable of going out and being competitive at the top level of the sport. So I think that's where you learn a ton. You kind of cut your teeth. And, if you can go prove that you can win at those levels, and especially big races at those levels where everybody's at, I think you've shown that you can move up through the ranks and be competitive.
Talking to Erik Jones, who is hard to believe at the age of 24 is a seasoned veteran in the NASCAR Cup Series. Erik, you talk about the short track. You can't run the short tracks without engaging in a couple of fandangos and maybe some confrontations. How tough did a youngster have to be? I mean, you started at 13 years old. What was the intimidation factor like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. And, at that time, it was kind of a unique time in the sport. There wasn't a lot of really young guys racing late models at that point. I was kind of on my own island in the series that I was racing. I was by far the youngest guy. And I mean, for me, I kind of tried to keep the perspective that, once we put the helmet on, that we were equals. And no matter that I was 13 or 14 and they were 35 or 40, we weren't too much different in the seed. And, it was a balance. At first, you really try to go out and earn the respect and race the guys respectfully and just show that you can race and that you're capable of it. And if you can prove that, I think that respect gets returned. And I feel the same way now. If I go back and run short track races and race against the young guys, 13, 14, 15 years old, if they race me with respect, I don't treat them any differently, try to, push them around or anything like that. And I felt the same way, but there was definitely, scuffles along the way. I mean, you can't help but getting some incidents in that world, no matter how old you are. And especially for us, we were getting fast and competitive and running up front and running for wins. And that's when most of the scuffles happen is when you're going for the win. So it was interesting, but it teaches you a lot at a young age. You kind of grow up quick and learn how to handle situations and deal with people. And I, looking back on it, it was not fun at times, but it was really good for me to learn.
As you started to make a name for yourself, you got absorbed into what has to be the best business model in all of motorsports, and that's the developments that Toyota makes to get youngsters, usher them up the ladder. How important was that to you?
It was huge for me. It was really after 2012. I was racing down at the Snowball Derby with Kyle Busch and ended up racing with him at the end of the race and beating him. And I was 16 at the time and didn't really have many opportunities beyond what I was doing in late models, which was great. We were running well and winning races, but didn't have anything at the NASCAR level. So Kyle really took me and got me connected with Toyota and the people there and at KBM and the Truck Series and was able to kind of bring me in the fold and get me some opportunities at the next level. And fortunately, we were able to take advantage of them, win some races really early on and continue to move up through the ranks. But that really helped me. They had just actually lost, I believe, Kyle Larson. So they were really looking to kind of find another guy to move on to and latch onto. And that actually played in my favor as well, because they didn't want to, make the same mistake again, I guess, in their eyes. And so they really latched onto me and helped me out along the way.
Are you comfortable with what now seems to be the pathway? First, you had to bring the golden suitcase of money. Then you had to have the talent. And now all of a sudden, you've got to have the backing of a Toyota or a Chevrolet or a Ford to be able to make it to the ultimate prize. And that's where you're at in the cup level of NASCAR. Are you comfortable with the way the sport has changed?
It's funny. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. It's changed a lot. That was only 7, 8 years ago that I was really trying to get into the sport. And since then, it's vastly different. I don't know. I wouldn't want to try to take the same pathway again. I think it would be really challenging for me, honestly, to make it in NASCAR today with the way some of the sponsorship is working in the lower levels and the way manufacturer support is. It would be a lot more challenging for me. I had enough backing to get me an opportunity, I guess is the way I like to tell it to a lot of people, but not much beyond that. And I don't know that in some cases if that's quite enough anymore, but you do still see some cases of guys coming up through there that, did get some good backing. Chase Briscoe now, he's going to be running the 14 car. I think he came up a similar way to what I did through the ranks. So it's definitely tough and it's changing, but I think there's a lot of good things for me that I look at for the next couple of years, especially with the next gen car and maybe what that model is going to bring to NASCAR. I think is going to help a lot with being able to get the guys who are younger and trying to come up through the ranks more opportunities without having to bring, the big funding with them.
Is it more of a race car? Because let's face it, these NASCAR Cup cars, I think it's been referred to over the years as a tank.
Yeah, the technology on our cars now is on the outdated side, you could say. It's non-coilover, solid rear end, truck arm, steering box. We don't have rack and pinion. So, it was definitely time to make that jump to kind of get into the modern, 21st century technology, coilover, independent rear suspension. So I think all that stuff's going to be really cool and give us, honestly, a lot of opportunity to run at a lot of different tracks. And especially the road courses is probably where I'm most excited to drive it, just because I think it's going to drive so much better. And looking at the Roval test that they had a few weeks ago, the times were way, way faster, which that early on in the development of a car, the first time you ever go to a track, normally you're seconds off of what the current pace would be. And to see it seconds faster with less horsepower and the first test, I think was pretty impressive.
Along the way, you were struck with a tragedy in the loss of your dad. How did that affect you?
Well, it was pretty challenging at the time, and I was, I guess, 2016, I would have been about 19 or 20 years old at the time. And so, I had just gotten to the point where we were working really hard on 2017 and getting an opportunity to move up to the Cup Series. And that was a big deal, at the time. And in I guess it would have been March, my dad found out he was pretty sick, and he didn't really have a lot of time left. And so by the, time June came around, my dad had passed away. And so to go through that transition in that short of time is what made it so tough. At some point we all lose our parents, if we're lucky, because we've lived long enough to see that happen. And so it's coming, but you don't really expect it when you're 20 years old. And so that was a tough part for me. And my dad and I were really close. I would consider my dad my best friend before he passed away. He was the guy I talked to every single day, about everything, whether I had questions about what I was doing in NASCAR or just questions about a car I was working on. Anything I really had going, I would get with him and kind of get his opinion on. So that's tough. For a long time, you kind of readjust and figure out. And my dad had a big hand in my racing career. His goal, when he retired, he wanted to help me, continue to run my business, because as a driver, you do have a business. I have employees and people who work for me, and trying to manage all that stuff. So he wanted to be involved in that, and was. And there was a lot of things that I really had to take on really quickly, and my mom as well, to try to manage that, handle that on the side. So it was a pretty big adjustment in a really short amount of time.
Nickname EJ, but then along comes Ken Squire, Hall of Fame announcer, and it's still a classic, that Jones boy.
Coming to the line, Larson there with Truex, Hamlin and Keselowski in the second row, and then it's that Jones boy in the number 77 running fifth, and with him is Kyle Busch.
When that first got back to you, did you laugh? Were you surprised? I mean, because that's kind of stuck with you.
I was really, I was confused. It was funny. I had, that was 2017, and it was my rookie year. And we had a really good race at Darlington. We were up front a lot of the night. I think we ended up 4th or 5th. And I got in the car to ride home that night, and I had a good friend of mine down from Michigan, actually, that came down to watch the race, and another buddy from Charlotte that rode down with me. So they were hanging out in the motorhome watching the race all night and on the pit box. And so I hopped in the car to ride home with them and not thinking much of it. And we get, 5-10 minutes down the road, and they kept messing with me, calling me the Jones boy. And I told them, I said, look, I really have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know why you keep calling me that. And so they laugh and they find the clip and everything and pull it up and show it to me. I thought it was really cool. I mean, obviously a legendary, a commentator in the world of NASCAR. And so I thought it was just cool to have the acknowledgement of his, to see me out on the track and that we were having a good night. So I was fine with it. I thought it was pretty funny. And, it's neat to see that it's caught on. I don't know if he still keeps up and sees that it's rolled this long, but I think he would think that was kind of neat.
Eric, it's been a real pleasure, and we wish you nothing but the very best, first in the off season, and then when everybody finally gets to Daytona, and you get behind for the first time, that number 43 for the King, Richard Petty. Appreciate it. Best wishes, and thanks again.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Coming up next.
Teaming up with you has been the best decision we've ever made for our late model program. You have just been perfect. Being a threat, no matter where you go, is only for a few elite drivers. Those names will be remembered forever. You're in that group. You're that Josh Berry is now one of those names.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Would you like to be part of these Wind Tunnel podcasts? Well, guess what? You can. Email us at jackarootswindtunnel@gmail.com, or better yet, call our hotline at 413-566-6206 and record your comments and questions. By the way, you can also post on our website, jackarootswindtunnel.com.
I'm Kyle Rickey from MRN Radio, the voice of NASCAR.
Green flag and we're racing!
They are the foundation of American motorsports.
Final lap of the race. Sheldon Creed has it, but can Haley Deegan run him down? Derek Thorne is right there too.
The launching pad for racing's future.
Off turn 4, green flag in the air once again.
Are you kidding me? Here comes your winner!
Time now for the Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap. Brought to you by the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series. Driving local racing and local communities forward.
Well, I can't think of any better guest to kick off our weekly short track focus than the Advanced Auto Parts NASCAR National Champion for 2020, Josh Berry. Sounds pretty good there, champ, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We had a unbelievable year. Like I said, it's been very special to be a part of, and like I said, just very thankful.
Having Junior Motorsports behind you has got to maybe give you what they call a little bit of an unfair advantage. What say you?
Yeah, I think we operate on a pretty fair basis, compared to a lot of the people we race with. I think anybody that really knows how our program works realizes that, we're in our own building on our own. We buy cars from people just like we buy cars from Jay Hedgecock and people around here just like everybody else does. We're not in the Xfinity shop. We're kind of on our own deal. So it's definitely an advantage having that. But really, I think where our big advantage is just people. We're able to have a couple employees, including myself, and having great people around you makes things go a lot smoother.
Short track racing exudes a passion that maybe once you make it to the highest of levels, it's still there, but it isn't burning as brightly. How would you describe that passion?
And it's like a electric atmosphere. I feel like a lot of these places, we've raced all over, North Carolina, Virginia, and I grew up racing in Nashville at the Fairground Speedway. That's where I grew up racing, and I remember watching so many races there, and just how great the racing was. And it's just it's just an amazing experience. I think people don't realize how good the racing is at all these local short tracks and all the divisions.
Look, it goes without saying you're tough behind the wheel, but you don't take any guff from anybody either.
I mean, it's a fine line when things come to that. But, I think thankfully for me, I've got a lot of people surrounding me that are racers and understand where I'm coming from and understand that, sometimes you just kind of got to handle things yourself. If it's not working out like you think it should, and sometimes you just kind of put your foot down and handle it yourself. I think you say you don't ever want to see it come to that, but ultimately that's what puts fans in the stands and all these local short tracks. So
continue our conversation here with Josh Berry, who is the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series National Champion. Before we went to break, I played a little snippet from Dale Earnhardt Jr. when you were on his podcast, and he paid some pretty heady tribute to you.
Teaming up with you has been the best decision we ever made for our late model program. You have just been perfect. Being a threat, no matter where you go, is only for a few elite drivers, and those names live forever. Those names will be remembered forever, and you're in that group. You're that Josh Berry is now one of those names.
When he laid that on you, how did it make you feel?
Man, it was really kind of unexpected, and just I felt like in that moment, I remember I reached out to him after that, because in that moment I felt like I was just kind of soaking everything in. I really didn't say a lot. I was just kind of listening to him talk, and I felt bad a little bit afterwards, because I reached out to him and told him like just how much that really meant to me to hear, because he gave me a huge opportunity and changed my life by bringing me over here and giving me the opportunity to drive these cars. I mean, I'm not a funded driver. I didn't, come and bring fun into this deal. I mean, I've got an opportunity, and I've worked for it and worked myself into opportunity that's really changed my life. And that was all due to him just giving me an opportunity. So for him to say that, how much it meant for him to see the things we've accomplished and how it made it worth it to him, that to go through this process with me, and bring me in and support me, and basically just give me this opportunity to see how much it meant to him. Really, I mean, I really had to sit there and soak it in and listen to it, because it was, it was big. I mean, and then that, even leaving there, and then 2 days later, that the whole Xfinity deal, they kind of lay that on me. I mean, it was just an amazing week, really.
How in the hell does a bank teller become a national champion in NASCAR?
Yeah, so that was funny. When I was in high school, I had a couple business classes, and the school, the lady one of my teachers hooked me up with this job at a bank doing that stuff, and it was fun. It was a different experience for me. I grew up. My dad owned a restaurant, like a mom and pops type restaurant, small deal, and I grew up kind of, naturally when I was 15 or 16, I kind of just started working there doing things. And so that bank job was, it was an adjustment for me for sure. But, I learned a lot of life lessons, so doing stuff like that, just experiencing it. And, but yeah, so I was, that's what actually was my job whenever me and Dale kind of put this deal together. I was kind of going back and forth racing some. And then I think the summer of 2010, I quit my job and moved out here and went to work at the Xfinity shop. So it was quite a change. I went from a restaurant to a bank to a race team. So it was quite a change there.
In 2021, you're going to get a pretty good opportunity driving for Junior Motorsports in what most people feel could be one of the first chairs in Xfinity competition. Having worked in the Xfinity shop and knowing the quality of those teams, how excited are you for the opportunity? But more importantly and honestly, what do you set as the expectations?
Yeah, I mean, first off, yeah, I'm extremely excited for it. I've got a couple opportunities over the years here or there with them, and this is the first real opportunity that I'm going to have, kind of a back to back. It looks like I'm going to have about 12 races, kind of all in a row, really, over the course of a couple months. And this is a huge deal for me. As for the expectations, man, I really don't know. I really don't. I think I've held my own pretty well in my previous starts. There's the competition's a little bit different now. The cars are different. With all my races being early on, the Cup drivers are going to be in those races. Some of them are. So, I think that's going to kind of change it. And I'm going to a lot of new tracks, really. It looks like I'm going to be going to Daytona for the first time. You're talking, so really each race is going to have kind of different expectations. I feel like, for me to go to like a Daytona, for example, or a Talladega, realistically, my goal is going to be to stay out of trouble. Because if you do that most of the time in those races, you finish well. I think that's a realistic goal for me. But when we start going to places like Martinsville and Phoenix, short tracks that I'm, accustomed to running, I think top 5 is going to be the goal, maybe better, just depending on how we run. So it's going to be kind of a moving target, I feel like. But I definitely feel like that I've got a good team behind me and a good opportunity, and we're just going to kind of just see where it goes. And hopefully after the first few races, our expectations change to running for wins. That's ultimately, but I think it's going to be hard to say come out the gate right there, compete for wins right away.
Talking to you, and I think our listeners would say the same thing, Josh Berry's a very humble individual and is awfully thankful for the opportunities that he's received. Could you describe for me who Josh Berry is when he straps himself into that race car and puts on that full face helmet?
I don't know. Like I said, I definitely have tried to be humble and enjoy these moments. Me and my wife had this conversation this week, really. We were talking about kind of the schedule and all this stuff. And we just talked about how we really want to, enjoy the season, enjoy these races at the beginning of the year. Cause really nothing's guaranteed past that. And, I don't know. It's hard to say how I am when I strap my helmet on. I feel like I'm pretty level headed. I really don't say a lot. I don't get riled up. My highs are never too high and my lows are never too low. I feel like I'm pretty, and I think that's an advantage to me. I think I never really seem to get too wound up, especially behind the seat. And I don't know. I feel like that question is more for all the people that work for me, but it's hard to say, but I'm typically pretty clean. I don't, we race hard, but I never really seem to find myself in too much trouble and always seem to finish. So I think that's going to be good when we start running those Xfinity races.
Well, listen, Josh, it's been a real treat to get to know you. It's been really a pleasure to have you in the wind tunnel. 2021 looks great for you and Junior Motorsports, and we wish you nothing but the very best, champion.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me on. I enjoyed it.
Be sure to join us again next week for another trip to racing's grassroots with the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap. Brought to you by the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series, advancing the next generation of drivers and champions. I'm Kyle Rickey from the Motor Racing Network.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Time now for Jack Arut's Wind Tunnel News and Note. More than 350 dirt midgets convened in January in Tulsa, Oklahoma to compete in the annual Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Nationals. And when the checker flag flew for the 55-lap A-Main, it was the newest driver for Hendrick Motorsports who took home the Golden Driller Trophy.
Kyle Larson trying to go back-to-back after waiting 13 years. Justin Grant not closing in as the battles for second, but Larson's down the back straightaway for the final time.
He will cap the biggest year of his open-wheel career with his second Chili Bowl win. Kyle Larson wins the 35th annual Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Midget Nationals.
I made a lot of mistakes there last quarter of the race, I felt like. And just, you had to kind of tell myself to breathe, and after I would mess up and then have to fight him the next corner, I was like, all right, just breathe. And then I seen Bell get the second, and I think I even made a couple more mistakes. So and when he's behind you have to be perfect, and I was not being perfect, but I was able, I think, just to block him enough to where he couldn't get by, and then he made his mistake there and wrecked. So just had to kind of worry about Grant there the last couple of restarts, and that last one I really changed it up, and it really helped my launch down the front stretch.
Short Track Racing's version of Speed Weeks takes the green flag Friday night, February 5th, for the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing at the New Smyrna Speedway Half-Mile Oval. One driver headed there is the Advance Auto Parts Weekly Series national champion, Minnesota's Jacob Getty.
I don't get a chance to run my super late that often, and when I do this past summer in 2020, I kind of struggled, honestly, and so that's one of the main reasons for wanting to go is I don't have time to run my super late model once the limited stuff gets going hot and heavy, and so I feel like I'm behind and I can't catch up with not being able to run the car. So going down there gives me a chance to run hopefully 7 nights or whatever in a short time frame, and hopefully we can learn something at least for the super late model program, and then also maybe we can carry something over to limited program. But the biggest thing is to learn, get better, and you know what, I hope we can finish in the top 5 in points, honestly.
NASCAR's Tour Type Modifieds will share the bill with the late models. By the way, the World Series at New Smyrna runs through February 13th. And that's this week's Racing News and Notes.
The rookie in the 55 car, Alex Palou, who continues to demonstrate terrific poise and pace. Dirt flying, and he makes it happen. Wow, Palou, what a move.
They'll go side by side, and he clears them.
Beautiful pass from Alex Palou.
Around the outside, great action.
Alex Palou doing a phenomenal job.
An inside move here. Nice one from Alex Palou. Alex Palou, the rookie, just passed the defending race winner.
That was impressive. And this guy has a huge future ahead.
Well, he makes a big jump after a rookie campaign in the NTT INDYCAR Series to the first chair in IndyCar racing, the home of the 5-time champion of the NTT IndyCar Series. But he will be the new kid on the block. We're talking about Alex Palou, who joins us now. By the way, from Spain, Alex, we do appreciate it. It's got to be close to nighttime there with the time change. But let me jump right into the deep end of the pool. How did this deal come together for you after your rookie campaign?
I still have no idea. Yeah, to be honest, I think it's been a hard year, 2020. I think for everybody, not only the motorsport community, but also for me as a rookie, not knowing almost any of the racetracks, not having any idea of how to race in ovals. It was tough. Also having only like one free practice per weekend. But yeah, we made it. We made it to the best seat possible, the number 10 with Chip Ganassi, alongside Scott. What else can I ask for, right? Like I'm gonna have the best guy to see all the data, to see all the onboards, to talk with him, just to listen, to see how he works. And then also I have Jimmy, Dario, and Marcus as well. So it's going to be a really good year. I'm going to have lots of good people to learn from, and hopefully we can be winners like they are.
When you first came to the United States, it was under what we've all had to suffer through for almost a year now, COVID-19. And it required, for you to quarantine, but also, Alex, leave back in Spain your entire support system. How intimidating, basically, how scary was that?
Yeah, it was scary, like everybody, I guess. But yeah, it was scary. Like it's the first time I had to quarantine. It's the first time I had to be so careful with everything. So it was a good year for me to move to the US. I was waiting for that move a long time, but obviously I wanted to enjoy everything, to go to restaurants, to visit the cities, to travel around, and it was not the year, but hopefully soon we will have that opportunity. Obviously the hardest thing was to be away from the family, but well, nowadays with FaceTime, and I was lucky enough to be able to fly them. I think it was in August. Yeah, for like Indy 500, they were able to come visit, see the INDYCAR, which was like our dream. So yeah, I think 2021, it's going to be much better for everything. And hopefully they are able to come to more races.
Before we circle back and trace the origins of that dream, you settled in Austin, Texas. Now, granted, now that you're working for Chip Ganassi, you're going to be relocating to Indianapolis. But when I first visited with you, it was an empty apartment. How did the cooking side of things go?
So I was living in Japan before, so I had to cook myself as well. But yeah, I'm not really good cooker, to be honest.
What's your go-to food or dinner?
It's gotta be like rice and chicken and those easy things. Then if I want something like good, I'm gonna order something or get something for takeaway. But I'm not a good chef. I need to learn about it. But yeah, I'm not really good.
Pizza?
Pizza sometimes, of course. Like you cannot be in America and not eat pizza, burgers. Like, yeah, I was not eating chicken and rice all the time. So from time to time, I had to order some good pizza, some good stuff that I don't have here in Spain. And to be honest, I really enjoy it. But I had to take care. Like, as soon as you start, oh yeah, I want to try this, you start getting a bit heavier and heavier, and you have to go running more or go more to the gym. So I had to keep track of the food, and yeah, now I know already the things I like from the US. So
and
as soon as I win some races, I'm gonna go.
Are, you know, the things that you
Chick-fil-A
like.
is gonna be the one. For you guys, it's just chicken and a sandwich, but we don't have that kind of chicken here. Like, I don't know, it's so simple but so good that I love it.
I want to go back because you mentioned when your family was able to come here to the States and watch you for the first time race in the biggest race basically in the world, the Indianapolis 500. You said it was the realization of a dream. When was that dream born for Alex Palou and his family?
It's hard to say. I was young. I was really young. I remember being really young and not even watching all the Formula One races on TV. But I saw my dad at some point looking at some race that they were going around in circles for like two and a half hours. And I was like, what is this? So then I started getting into it. So I don't really know, but it was, I guess, before 10. Yeah, for sure, before I was 10. And since then, I started getting more interest, and that was the dream. That was the goal to be here. It was more than a dream. It was like a goal, like something I knew I could do if I was making the right steps, the right things, and winning enough. And I was lucky enough to have the opportunity. So I think I was at the right time, even if 2020 was like the craziest year of the years. I was lucky enough to have enough performance to catch Chip Ganassi Racing eyes. So yeah, I couldn't ask for more.
That dream came true when you got the call from Dale Coyne Racing, and there's where you spent your rookie season. When you first strapped yourself in the cockpit, and of all places, Alex, that you have to debut, it's at the Texas Motor Speedway. Your impressions, and did you have a moment where you say, oh my God, what have I just done?
Yeah, it was already like when they first announced that we were going to race, I was like, yeah, super exciting. We're going to race. And then they said, it's Texas. And I was like, oh my God, it's Texas. So, and then they said, it's a one-day event. And I was like, oh my God, this is not going to go well. And then it was only 1 hour of practice, which was like, come on, guys, you're putting all the difficult things in just one day. And it's going to be my first day in INDYCAR. So it was really tough. I remember being in qualifying and being like super scared, like not knowing what to do. It was my first time of going with new tires and doing only 2 laps. So I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. And then the same for the race. I think qualifying went quite well. But then for the race on the start, I was like, guys, so what's gonna happen now when everybody goes? Do I have to push? Do I have to be like aware of the guys in front? I'm gonna get like a lot of tow, or I didn't know lots of stuff. So yeah, it was a really tough day for me. Then obviously it ended up with a crash that I couldn't avoid, but it was good experience. It's something that for sure it's hard, but makes you work a lot more in all the stuff and makes you learn. So for sure, it's going to help me when we get back to Texas, having an hour of practice, 2 races in 2 days. It's going to be like, that's easy.
As the season progressed, and we use this American term, you stopped drinking out of a fire hydrant. And I wonder, when did it all click for you?
Yeah, I think Road America was the place where it was the 3rd or 4th race of the season, and it was the first time I got like in a track that was pretty similar to the Japanese tracks I've been before, to the European tracks, and we were really quick. Like we finished in the podium on the first race. We qualified 3rd for the second race, so it was a really good weekend for us. And then I think I got a lot of confidence from there. Also the team, I think because of that race, the team was able to put the best car for the Indy 500. And honestly, I don't know if I had the best car ever, but I had one of the best cars for the Indy 500. And Indy 500 was another race that was really good for us. All the practices we did, the qualifying in the Fast 9, it was good. So yeah, I think it started really early in the season. It's true that we didn't had really consistent or good results, but INDYCAR is so difficult, so tough, that there's so many things that goes into a race that I think that's why we weren't able to make good results. But I'm sure I know what to do for 2021.
One of the things that I love to do here on Wind Tunnel is take our listeners inside what makes an individual have the passion that he has for the sport. Do you have a story that maybe most people don't know about that can illustrate that kind of passion that has produced for you a career in IndyCar racing?
I don't really know. To be honest, I'm just a normal guy that loves racing. A normal guy that comes from a normal family without having a driver before. Like my dad wasn't a driver, grandfather wasn't a driver. They had no idea about karting or single seaters, and we made it. We didn't expect it. We were not looking for it. We were just enjoying every year, and we were having some luck as well. Lots of people that was helping us and taking us to the next level. So yeah, I'm just a guy living the dream every day.
You sound like you want us all to believe that you're just a normal guy, but normal guys don't travel around an oval at 220 miles an hour.
Yeah, maybe that's true. That's true. Maybe not so normal, just a bit crazy, but still a normal crazy guy.
How important is family to you?
100%, a lot. It's everything. I think it's everything. It's true that there's two ways, right? Like for me, racing is everything. But before that, it's family. So I think both go along really well because all my family, from my girlfriend to my uncles, they support me like 200%. Every day, every race. So it's like the same thing. I think they go together. If there's a Christmas dinner and I have to go to a meeting with the team, they're gonna be happy because I'm doing what we want, what they want, what I want, and it's racing. So I think they both go really well together for me, and that's everything. So for me, the only important thing is the family and racing. That's it, nothing else.
Last question for you. Paella or pizza?
Paella. Yeah, it's got to be paella. And especially now that I've been traveling and living in different areas, you always miss what you have at home. So paella.
Listen, we do appreciate your taking some time to visit with us and with our fans of the wind tunnel, and looking forward to your sophomore season. And knock on wood, hopefully there'll be plenty of practice, there'll be filled stands, and you'll finally get a taste of normal before COVID-19 struck the entire world, and be able to get what we call the full experience of being an IndyCar driver. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you again after we win some races.
We're hitting the brakes, but we'll be back on track after this.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Hey! Mail call!
Time to see what you got!
So handling mail call for Jackaroot's wind tunnel is a social media influencer. Yes, that's right. Jason Stacks is in the house. Jason, thanks so much for agreeing to be part of Jackaroot's wind tunnel, but forgive me, what is a social media influencer?
Social media influencer is just anyone who creates content and posts it on social media for entertainment.
So where can listeners to the wind tunnel go to see your content?
You can find me on TikTok at Jason Stacks and on Instagram at I am Jason Stacks.
What have you got for me, Jay Stacks?
All right, Randy in Illinois writes, "Hey Jack, who do you think will have a better overall season in their new Cup ride? Erik Jones in the 43 or Bubba Wallace in the number 23?
You know, that's a difficult question. I do believe, even though we talked to Erik here, I do believe the advantage goes to Bubba Wallace, quite frankly, because of the caliber of team. Granted, it's new, but when you combine Michael Jordan and couple that with Denny Hamlin and what he accomplishes, I'm going to give the nod to the number 23 and Bubba Wallace.
All right, next up, Sean in Indianapolis asks, who's the next of the non-winners in IndyCar to win a race?
It wouldn't surprise me if it's someone unexpected, but I would think with someone like young Alex Palou moving on to one of the first chairs in IndyCar racing and joining Chip Ganassi, let's give the nod to the Spaniard.
All right, now we have a voicemail from Steve in Massachusetts.
Hi, this is Steve from Massachusetts. The Super Bowl is this weekend, and it comes at the end of the NFL season. I was just wondering, why does NASCAR start their season with their Super Bowl, the Daytona 500? Thanks.
In NASCAR racing, the Super Bowl is the championship. The chase for the championship is in parallel with what we'll see when Tampa Bay and Kansas City lock horns this Sunday. The Daytona 500, on the other hand, hey, it's unique. It starts out the season. Get over it. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it, and it's got everybody pumped up, especially with the number of cars entered and the limited number of entries that are going to be into the race without a charter.
All right, that's it for this week's mail call. If you have any questions, email us at jackarootswindtunnel@gmail.com or call the Wind Tunnel hotline at 413-566-6206 and record your comments.
Well, thank you, Mr. Social Media Influencer. That's Jason Stacks, everybody. Well, that'll bring the curtain down on this episode of Jackaroots Wind Tunnel. I hope that you enjoyed our guests, Jason McDONNEL, Erik Jones, Josh Berry, and Alex Palou. Next week, Jackaroots Wind Tunnel will talk to a pair of drivers that account for 13 national titles and find themselves teammates on the 2021 INDYCAR circuit. We're talking about Scott Dixon. Scott, you realize if you do go back-to-back, we can start calling you 7-time as well as Jimmy.
Yeah, that'd definitely be a little bit of fun. I don't know how to do it, obviously.
And Jimmy Johnson.
I can help the team in a lot of ways, and then I'm trying to understand what that is and how I can help.
Remember, each week we will send a new episode your way, and each week we'll focus on the heroes of the sport that you love. Be sure to like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and pass it on to your friends, won't you? I'm Jackaroot, reminding you, look out for each other, and join me next week when we go inside the wind tunnel yet again.
Today's trip to the wind tunnel was brought to you by
Advance Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of NASCAR.